going to hit the record. There we go. We're recording this. So welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our Empathy Circle introduction to the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training. This is an intro to the Empathy Circle as well as to the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training. And I'd like to welcome you all to this. I'm Edwin Rutch. I'm director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. And I've been working for about 13, 14 years in the center, founded the center, and it's the largest resource on the internet for empathy related material. So we have a lot of different projects, and our goal is really to create a more empathic global culture and just to raise the level of empathy within society. And that's what our vision is. It's just that we feel that if there's more empathy in the world, it'll just add to create greater well-being for everyone. We have trainings that we do. We have multiple websites with different resources. If you go to our main website, cultureofempathy.com, there's hundreds of interviews there with empathy experts from around the world. And what we're going to be talking about today, and actually doing it, is the Empathy Circle practice, which I find is the most effective first step gateway practice to fostering, developing empathy skills and sort of an empathic way of being. And it's based on mutual empathic listening, or also called active listening. So if you've done any sort of counseling or conflict mediation, you've probably come across the practice. And what we do is do it in small groups, and it's a really effective way of developing those empathy skills. And it's very helpful for personal support and for conflict mediation and for designing any sort of solutions to different problems. Because if you can hear people, understand each other, then you have a chance of doing problem solving. And so I'm going to just give a show here what our agenda is. And this is what we're doing. This is the introduction to the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training. We're going to go for about 2 hours. I'm doing the welcome right now. If we have less than 15 participants, we go around and do check-ins with everyone. We hear from everyone, but since we're a larger group, looks like we're about 27 at the moment. It's a bit too large for doing those check-ins, but we'll do that at the end. We'll talk about the training. We're going to review the training. We're going to have some Q&A about it. You can have a chance to ask some questions, and then we'll show a short 6-minute video on how to take part in an empathy circle. And then we'll actually divide into groups and do some empathy circles, because empathy is very much like exercise. I like to use the metaphor of exercise, that you can read books about exercise. You can people can tell you to exercise, and you can want to do exercise, but you have to actually do it. And that's what we're going to actually be spending some time in an empathy circle actually doing it. And then we'll come back for a full group debrief. And so that's the overall intro. So maybe we'll just do a quick introduction of the facilitators, who are some of the facilitators, and just your name, your location, and why you're interested in empathy and empathy circles. And I'll start with Bill, just a quick intro.
Sure. My name is Bill Filler. I'm in Northern California. I'm a retired special education teacher. And I felt that the problems that I was seeing with my students are sort of writ large on the population as a whole. And I found that empathy circles are a great way to build trust and community. Thanks.
And Celine?
I live in Oregon in Western United States, and I have a background in education and mediation and peacemaking. So empathy is really important to me, and I love, love, love these empathy circles. I'm glad to see you all here. Thank you.
And if you see an ECF at the end of our name, that's Empathy Circle Facilitator, just to give you a little heads up of what that designation means. Larry?
So I'm Larry in Florida, and I love empathy circles. I haven't been participating for too long, but long enough to know that this is really what's wanted and needed in this world. I'm a retired occupational therapist, and I became truly concerned about our environment when I found out that the coral reefs in our Florida Keys are dying. And I moved there, got a boat, got a captain's license, did a lot of scuba diving, thinking that we could fix the coral reefs, but finally realized it's what we're doing on land. And we have a lack of concern or empathy or care for this planet, for this living planet. And empathy seems to be the way to that. So I invite all my LinkedIn and Facebook friends to come to this. I'm glad to see everybody here. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. And Lou?
Hi, I'm Lou. I'm in Northern California, United States. I have a background in education and communication, and I've been working with Edwin for about 3.5 years. And I'm just so happy to see so many people here interested in learning about Empathy Circle practice.
Okay, thanks everyone. So those were our facilitators, and they've all done the training, or as a couple of the people are the developers of the training. Bill and Lou actually developed the cohort of the training. So what we want to do next is Bill is going to review the website, and let me actually put that link in for, let's see, where do I have that link? Oh, there he goes. Okay.
Okay. So it's right here. It's the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training. And so
And if you could close that little window to the left there, I don't know if does that close?
that bugs you, huh? All right.
Well, it's just, we see less. We just see less of the screen because of that.
All right. All right. So anyway, this is what you'll see when you get there. And then take a look up over here. Here's the link to this, by the way, to the course. And so it's an open source empathy training. So that means that you can take it, use it, and adapt it, and just give credit and link back to this training website. And we have an ongoing co-design, develop, and Edwin is constantly iterating on the training. We all here, there's no cost to take part, and all of the people that you see here facilitating are volunteers. So we're volunteering our time. If you wish to donate, you may. And there's, let me see if I can just kind of, yeah, okay. And so therefore you can do that at PayPal, and here are the links for that. So getting started, we ask that people take place before they become a facilitator or take the training, that they are in 2 empathy circles just to get familiar with the basics. This is one of those. And we have, so this is what we call the Empathy Circle Facilitator Training Introduction Cafe. It's quite a mouthful, but that's where you are. You got here. I mentioned the 2 circle prerequisite. The time commitment, we're very serious about that. It is free, and we understand that. And people say, you got to charge to make people. Well, this means a lot to us. So your time commitment, if you decide to take the facilitation training, is also, please take that seriously, because there's a cohort where people together. We have other activities during the week, buddy calls and things like that. And the time commitment is 2.5 hours over 5 weeks. It's once a week for 2.5 hours. So, consider if you can do that, and then try to make it. If things come up sometimes, please let us know. The training path is, each cohort is now an ongoing cohort series. So those occur right now on Mondays and Saturdays. And so we'll do a series of 5 trainings. We'll wrap up, and then in that same time and place, you'll see something like this. That's what's occurring now on Monday. We just finished a Monday cohort, and so now we're doing a few introductory cafes, getting enough people to start another cohort, and then we'll go on. And I think Edwin's already put the dates of the next cohort in the chat. Excuse me. So if you look at the page, these is cohort 12 and 13, because this is sort of how it just worked out. So look for 12 and 13 if you're taking the training, and then there's A, B, C, D, etc. as we go on. This is just some of the module 1. I won't go through too much, but this gives you a little overview. In the first session, we do a culture of empathy. The second session, we start to practice facilitation, because it's not only participation, but there's also another level of kind of complexity when you have to be a facilitator as well and participate at the same time. Session 3, we give you some challenges if you're ready for it. One of the keys to this training is that you go at your own pace. You can take the training as many times as you want. You may not want challenges at that particular time. That's fine. And then section 4, again, we have some more challenges, or just a regular empathy circle if you don't feel ready. I just want to stress that. And then session 5, we have a debrief, a training debrief, and kind of, again, here are a few, some information, the values of culture of empathy, et cetera, et cetera. Edwin has, I believe, amassed like the best place on the internet to find out about empathy things. Look at, interviews and things like that. Here are some things that are happening over here. And we also I just will make a brief comment about the empathy tent. Not only do we go online, but we do go out into the wide world. And we go to demonstrations both on the left and the right, and we try to foster dialogue between everybody instead of just anger. And so that is about it. Did I miss anything, Edwin or Lou? I'll stop the share.
Yeah, just say on the website there, you'll see there's a lot of different links on the left of that site. And I did put the link into the website, and I'll put it in again, so you can just sort of explore it. And yeah.
Okay. Oops. So here it is on the left here. And so you can go and click through these. Okay.
Okay. Anything to add, Lou? Would you like to? As one of the
No, I thought that was a great overview. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you want to open it for questions? Any questions? Just raise your
Sure.
hand if you have a question.
Okay. I don't see any. A lot of people don't have their video on.
Yeah, you can go down under reactions, and you can just click on a raise hand, so that'll move you to the top. So I just demonstrated it. Any questions about the training?
Okay.
Okay, well, in that case,
Oh,
there's
I see
someone.
two.
Go ahead. Oh, let me.
When you raise your hand, Edwin.
Yeah, I was just demonstrating.
Uh-huh.
I have a question. Do you want to field the questions, Bill?
Sure, absolutely. Linda Jean, please go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't, in all the material, I didn't see how long this would be. So I'm going to have to leave at 11 o'clock. I'm used to Zoom things being 1 hour.
Yeah.
And, so didn't realize. So my question is, are all of the sessions 2.5 hours?
All the training sessions are. The introductory cafes are 2 hours. The training sessions are 2.5 hours.
So this is the introduction, correct?
Yes, right.
This is 2 hours. Unfortunately, I only get 1 hour of it.
Right.
So then what do you do? Do you sign up then for the next part, or do I go to another 2-hour session? I'm not clear on the timing and the difference between these sessions, the session that I'm in today, and training. Can you just clarify that for me?
Sure. So the session you're in today is an introduction or an orientation cafe. And that is a drop-in. You need to leave early today. That's fine. And you would do, if you get to, I think you will participate in Empathy Circle, you pretty much got one circle under your belt. We just want you to get the basics. And so you can then find another introduction cafe, or you can have one on your own. It's a very simple process. And if you decide to take the trainings, however, then you're committing to those the times here are Mondays. It starts on this Monday, on this cohort, on the Monday cohort starts September 20th, 27th, October 4th, 11th, and 18th. So then if you could budget 2.5 for those times, if you want to take the training. If not, you could take a couple of trainings and then take another cohort when that better suits your schedule. Did that answer your question, Linda?
Yes, it does. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of the participation. I just have to sign up for what I need. Is that correct?
That's correct. But when you commit to a facilitation training, we'd appreciate it if you just commit for the whole time.
Yes.
If not, no salesman will come to your door, and you can take it. All right, I'll try to
definitely. Yeah, I see this as having it really necessary, first of all, because I work in the DEI arena, and the empathy is really necessary in order to reach people and get mutual understanding on how we move forward. So thank you very much.
Sure. And I would just say and I would just say that this is experiential. Again, we're talking, it's like exercise.
All right.
Sir, go ahead.
I just want to add that we've had other people who've taken the training that are working in the DEI area. Just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I just note, I put the link into the website as well as the next cohort. The next cohort is 13C, and that, as Bill was saying, starts September 20th, and the link is there. And you click on that, and then you can, the steps for joining the cohort are there to fill out the application. So, and somebody asked what DEI stands for.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
There you go.
Okay. All right, I'll try to get, there's 3 more questions. Melissa.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Bill. So my question was, when we do after we complete this training, how do we sign up to train others?
So that's promotional. Basically, this is a basic practice, which then you can incorporate into your area of expertise or wherever. And so that's up to you. Or we have ongoing cafes, we have ongoing projects, like I'm a big empathy in schools guy. So I'm trying to adapt it for schools. So you can join one of those projects that are ongoing, either way.
So do you have those available so I could sign on to one of those?
Yeah, I will put it in the chat. I have a Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, empathy in schools. And actually, we're working on an empathy game there right now. But if you have a particular, like, this is my situation in school, and then how would I bring empathy circles in there, I can address that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Bill.
Can I add something to that, Bill?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So the anyone can hold an empathy circle. There's a handout on the website that describes the empathy circle process, and anyone can take that and hold an empathy circle. The facilitator training practice is, the facilitator training is to help train you in running a circle with more depth than just, what you can get from the handout, because there are a lot of subtleties and skill involved in running a good circle. So that's the reason that we have the training. Anyone can try to run a circle, and most people can, and so the training is about developing more skillful facilitation. And after you've taken the training, if you want to go out and do circles and teach other people how to do circles, you can do that. And yeah, so I just wanted to make that clear.
And I would also add that you take the training the first time as a participant, and you can take it again as many times as you wish as a participant, but you can also be a trainee. So as a trainee, you actually start presenting parts of the training. So you can actually learn to train others So you can, some people have taken, the training, 5 times, 6 times, gone through it, and they've become trainers themselves to be able to train others to be able to facilitate empathy circles.
Okay. So during these sessions, like today, for example, during the 2 hours, do we get the opportunity to be able to give our opinions or express to you what we have learned and where we would need to make changes in the way we present or explain things to others? Because I am a healthcare worker, and I have found that there is such a great need, and more so at this time during the pandemic. People really want to feel the need that they are cared about more than anything else. You don't have to give people gifts or anything, but it's the way you make the workers feel that you appreciate and you care for what they're doing. And that, my personal opinion, makes a big difference in anyone's life, to know that there's someone who knows that that you are doing the best you can, and they do care about what you're doing.
Thanks, Melissa. Today, you will have a chance to kind of experience the empathy circle. You won't have a chance to go as deep as you're talking about, but certainly we have done it with healthcare workers, and they expressed a lot of those concerns. And again, I put my empathy in schools in the chat, and you can come Thursday to talk about adaptations, or you can email any of one of us, Edwin, Lou, myself, if you have any specific questions or you have any plans. So
thank you.
That's a little bit down the road. All right, Gail Goodman. There you go, Gail.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering if there are any certificates that are available after some of these classes to, because I'm a peer support wellness specialist, and
Sure.
it just looks, I just got a job, and I want to show that I am continuing my education. So I was just wondering if there's any certificates available.
Sure. There aren't right now, but it is something that we're working on. And we certainly, I would say that if you wished, I'd be happy to write a letter for you saying that you completed, before we get to there, if we don't develop that, you need that. I personally would be happy to write you a letter and say that you participated and the dates and stuff like that.
Okay. And that would be for the actual facilitator, not the intro to.
Right, that's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right, and I see Sarah, you had a hand and then you lowered it. So did you? Is there a quick question I can answer, Sarah?
It was about logistics.
Okay.
The next 2 cohorts I'm not able to do.
Okay.
But, hoping that something, opens up.
We run them. We've been running them for over a year now. So yes, there'll definitely be one that'll open up, and just check the website. Okay. All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
So next we want to show how to do the empathy circle. So this is the basic instructions for how to take part in an empathy circle. And there is, if you do check the website, there's some PDFs that you can download as well. That we have a 1-page PDF, and I put the link in there for multiple versions of this intro video. This is the sort of the minimal 6 minutes introduction on how to take part. There's a 9-minute intro, and then there's a more in-depth 25-minute intro as well as the PDF, and I put that link to the how-to there. So I'm going to do a screen share here, and just want to be sure everybody does mute so we don't hear background sounds. And so let's just see. Let me close this. I'm Edwin Rutch, Founding Director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. I'd like to welcome you to this short presentation on how to take part in a basic empathy circle. So next, let's look at the step-by-step how to take part. An empathy circle starts with 2 to 7 participants. Here on the screen, we have 4 participants, which I find is an ideal number. There are 4 basic roles, and the roles rotate among the participants as the empathy circle unfolds. 1, the speaker, is the first person to speak. 2 is active listener who actively listens to the speaker. There's the silent listeners, they quietly observe and witness. And the facilitator who organizes, schedules, and hosts the circle. They also do the timekeeping, and they have some experience with the process and help keep participants in the process. However, everyone has the responsibility to hold the process and the practice. So to begin with, the facilitator will start the empathy circle. They welcome the participants. They lead introductions if the participants don't know each other. The facilitator invites participants to give short introductions, for example, their name, where they're from, and something personal about themselves. The facilitator then reviews the empathy circle process to remind everyone how it works. They announce the discussion topic, if there is one. Even if there is a topic, you can always talk about what is alive for you. That is what is on your mind in the moment. And 5, they set the speaker time limits, perhaps 5 minutes, for example. And the facilitator then asks who would like to start to be the first speaker. So at that point, the participant volunteers to be the first speaker. As speaker, you select who will be your active listener, and you can select anyone that you want. You speak about the topic given or whatever is alive for you. And so you'll speak a bit until you have maybe expressed an idea or two, and then you want to pause to give the active listener a chance to recap what they understand that you are saying and feeling. If you say too much, the listener may have difficulty in reflecting it. As the active listener, you are listening to the speaker to get an understanding of what they are saying and what is important to them. You are giving them your full attention as a supportive companion on their inner journey and exploration. When the speaker pauses, you recap your understanding of what they said and how they feel by reflecting the essence of that in your own words. You can summarize, paraphrase, or even say the speaker's words back to them. Even though you may have a strong impulse to respond with your own ideas, judgments, analysis, advice, and sympathy, or even questions, resist the impulse to do so because these common responses block the speaker from moving along their internal journey. You'll be able to say whatever you want when it is your turn to be the speaker. If you don't reflect the understanding to the speaker's satisfaction, they can always say it again. Then as speaker, you check, do you feel understood to your satisfaction? If you do not feel understood, you can say it again, perhaps in different words. If you do feel understood, continue sharing. Again, after speaking a bit, pause to give your active listener a chance to recap their understanding of what you said. As the active listener, you again share your understanding of what the speaker said and meant. The cycle of speaking and reflecting continues until you, as the speaker, do not have anything else you'd like to say, or until you get a signal from the timekeeper. If you get a signal from the timekeeper, then finish up what you're saying in a sentence or two. After you get a final reflection, you can end your turn by saying something like, I feel fully heard, or something like that to indicate you are done with your speaking turn. At that point, the roles then rotate. The active listener becomes the speaker. The person they select becomes the new active listener. For everyone having equal time, it is good to select someone that hasn't spoken lately, but it is your choice. The others in the circle become the silent listeners. This process of taking turns in speaking and active listening continues for whatever time is allotted for the empathy circle. And this was just a very short introduction. The best way to learn the practice is taking part and doing it. There is more in-depth material on taking part in an empathy circle and facilitating one at empathycircle.com. Thank you for listening. Okay, so that's the basic instructions. And now we like to, usually we go into an empathy circle. And what I'm thinking is maybe we'll do the fishbowl approach again. So Lou, if you'd be willing to facilitate a fishbowl for maybe half an hour or so. And then just so everyone can, whoever would like to take part can take part, and then we'll model it. And then we'll see about maybe going into some breakout rooms. So the way to take part in this is to raise your hand if you would like to be part of the circle. I just demonstrating that. If you go down under reactions.
Edwin,
yeah.
If it's okay with you, I'd prefer someone else do it.
Okay. I can do it then, or
Okay.
Anybody else want to do it, Bill? Or so if you would like to, I can do it then. Okay, we have Rich. We need a couple more people just to model it, and we're gonna model so a couple more people. Just raise your hand under the reaction button down below to, then you will just sort of, Melissa, thanks. I don't know, Celine, you're welcome to be, if any of the facilitators would like to take part too. So, okay, we have it. I think we have enough here to get started. So we're going to have our topic is why are you interested? Let me just see here. And training. Let me just post that in the chat here. So this is our question. And let me get that into the chat. And I'll just put in the chat too. That's the instructions for how to take part. And we're going to have 4-minute turns. And our question is, why are you interested in empathy, the empathy circles, and the training, or whatever's alive for you? So you're always welcome to talk about whatever you would like to talk about. And I'll be the first. Can someone keep time for me, Bill?
I can keep time.
Okay. So yeah, we got a bunch here. So I'll be the first listener. And again, the question is, why are you interested in the empathy circles and training, or whatever's alive for you? And who would like to be the first speaker? And I'll be the
What's
listener.
the length of the speaking turns, Edwin?
4 minutes.
Okay.
Who would like to start?
So I just want to say, when you're speaking, time is up, a chime will go off. And if you don't hear it, I'll hold up my phone like this as a way of giving you a visual signal.
Okay, Rich, I'm listening. Go ahead. You're muted.
And another thing, what's up for me? Why am I interested in this? In my tenure on the planet, I've noticed that there's less cooperation, listening, and sort of genteelness. And I don't particularly care for the discord. I'm much more, I feel better about myself and the world when people are in harmony, when things are in harmony, rather than in disarray.
Okay, so I'm hearing that in your time here on the planet, you've just seen that there's less and less harmony and there's more discord, and you would like to see more harmony.
Yeah. Yes, that's in general. And I've also noticed that that what's needed is the empathy circles in the school. I mean, we can start it now, obviously, for folks of our age. But wouldn't it be nice if we started some sort of program to include empathy and cooperation in the preschool, elementary school, middle school?
So you'd like to see the empathy training be started already in preschool and in the early in the schools, and getting that started from the beginning, from early age.
Right. And it's frustrating. Sometimes I get impatient with what I'm seeing, but then I realize that, well, this is where we are, and rather than roil against the injustice, do what you can when you can and where you can.
So you get kind of frustrated that this isn't happening, but then you see, well, I'll just do what I can, where I can and when I can. So sort of a bit more acceptance and just moving forward.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, that's just where I am.
Okay, yeah, so you're just sharing where you are, and that's just sort of as the summary of it. It sounds like you feel fully heard at
I
this
do.
point. Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
So, and that indicates too, when you feel heard to your satisfaction, you can just say, I feel fully heard. And that indicates it's now my turn to be the speaker. And I'll speak to Kara, if I may.
I'm listening
Yeah, so
actively.
yeah, I hear some children in the background, and I think that's really where empathy starts, is with those children, you know. And I'm really there with Rich about the empathy circle practice can already start with very young children, like 5 years old. I think they're already capable of taking part in empathy circles.
So I hear that you really think that small children is a start and an end to empathy for all people.
Yeah, if I would have learned these skills from that early age, I mean, it would have just, I mean, here I am, 65 now, right? I mean, it would have made my life so different if it already, right, at 4 or 5 years old, I was learning some of these empathy building practices and building on it, learning how to listen well to others and be able to mediate conflict. I mean, it's definitely what we need in the schools.
So what I heard is that you really, the skills that come from listening and collaborating and working with other people is a gateway to making life easier. And the sooner we start that, the better.
And yeah, and Joe Biden said at the Veterans Memorial, he had a speech, he said, empathy is the fuel of democracy. And I think our training around democracy has taken the wrong approach, that it's focused on the structure, the Congress and the presidency and all those sort of structural things, but it's not teaching the basic foundational skills of how people can talk to each other and listen to each other, because that's really the foundation of democracy. And so for that reason, I think it should be taught as well.
What I heard is that communication is the foundation of humanity and everything that we want to do.
Yeah, and democracy. I think that was the part that was a democracy.
Yeah.
So I feel fully heard. And you can select someone that has their hands up. That's Melissa or...
yeah, let's go to Melissa. I'll have you be my active listener. Remember that you'll have to unmute.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
No worries.
I got it.
So I came to the empathy circles because it's a thing that I have been doing in my leadership coaching. It is a thing I do when working with everyone. I don't know anybody who will not benefit from an empathy circle, or just taking the chance to listen to somebody else, hear what they have to say, and not feeling the need to respond.
Okay, so I hear you are a leadership coach and you work with people, and you believe that everyone will benefit from being heard. It is very important that we not just extend empathy to a select few, but to everyone in the world.
Yeah, I think that empathy affords us the ability to say that your experience is different than mine, and that's awesome. And it doesn't have to be my experience, but I can see it, I can witness it, I can hear it, and I can appreciate it. And when you can see, witness, and appreciate another human being, the amount of things that you can accomplish together from that platform changes worlds.
Okay, so your understanding is that it's very important that even though someone thinks differently, you give them to understand that you have understood and you do sympathize with how they feel and how they wish things to be in their world.
Yep, I feel fully heard.
Thank you, Kara.
So now you select your listener, and you could
Okay.
select Raul. He has his hands up.
Okay. Hi, Raul.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Melissa, and I am a healthcare worker. I do believe it is very important. I am from California, which has a very diverse ethnic group. And we all express ourselves differently. Working with patients, it is very important that we are able to not only express to them that we have understood their hurts and their pain, but we also should feel that our superiors understand where we are coming from and the challenges we face. Because when we are able to connect with each other, we are able to help each other do a better job and better service to mankind.
Thank you, Melissa. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, this is Rahul, and I'm from India. I'm from the southern part of India called Kanyakumari, the southernmost tip of India.
Raul, if you just reflect back, what did you hear Melissa say? Just reflect back your understanding of what Melissa said.
Okay. So basically, what she was trying to communicate is that the kind of mindsets that people might possess. We live in a region with different ethnicity, and understanding people is being very difficult. The empathy between the community, the empathy between the people is lacking these days. No, it is very important that how much very important we need to be empathetic to each other. If you wanted to be, create a co-creation atmosphere, if you wanted to exist together, to do multiple things, maybe we need to improve our mental health or improving our, living stature. It's
Okay,
very
just if you
important
just pause. Let's just check. Melissa, did he understand what you were saying, or
no, Rahul, I'm sorry, but yes, you do. I feel you do understand the picture of what empathy needs, but my what I said was basically a situation where when I'm helping others, the people who are in charge of directing me into what I am doing should also understand the challenges I face.
Okay, can you pause there? Can you reflect that back, Raul?
Yes. And I was being a teacher. Maybe should I reflect from? I have doubts.
Just what did you hear Melissa say? What did you understand that Melissa said? You're just reflecting back your understanding.
We are doing some task. We are being allotted to do something, but mostly people who allows us work may not understand what our pressure is, or they might not understand what kind of situation we are in. They will be enforcing us to do something, and we might be doing. They might not understand the situation which we are put in and what we are going through.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what
Just
Melissa
pause there. Just can check. Did he get it, Melissa?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Rahul. Do I get to say more?
Yes, you
Edwin?
speak more
All right,
until your
so-
4 minutes is up. Mhm.
Okay. And so what happens is the importance of empathy is that when the person I work under has understood the challenges I face and the people I empathize and the stress levels that causes me, then they will be able to make open an open space for me to be able to find resources to help me work better with the people I have to empathize with.
Okay, so that was the time. So you just get your last reflection from Raul. So what did you hear Melissa say, Raul?
When people are allotting us tasks, we are doing for a set of people. People who are allotting us tasks should also understand our question, and they should all allocate the resources which will support me, or support the one who is empathizing with the people. Melissa, have I got you right?
Yes, thank
Was
you.
that okay?
Thank
So
you very much.
it's your, thank you, Melissa. So you have 4 minutes, Raul. If you want to speak to me, I can reflect.
Yes, Edwin. I was a teacher when I started my career. I started my career as a teacher. Being a teacher, the very Herculean task is you need to empathize with your students. But most of the time, when you are empathizing with students, the fellow ecosystem might not encourage you. When I'm empathizing with a student, it is like means I need to be a student at that particular place. But being a faculty member, being a teacher, I was not allowed to do that. That caused a kind of rift between people, which means the connection, the empathetic connection, was missing between the teachers and students.
Okay.
So in the process,
Can you just pause for a second? Let me reflect back. So remember to pause. So what I hear is you were a teacher, and that you needed to sort of be able to connect with the students, but it sounded like they kind of kept the faculty separate. And to really be able to empathize with the students, you need to be sort of like a student or with the students. And so that separation was keep sort of blocking you from being empathic with them, creating a distance.
yes, yeah, that was I was saying, and this what I wanted to create is a kind of system where teachers and students can empathize each other. The real empathy begins, from workplace. When people, you are working a lot, people who are working with you are working together might not be empathetical to you, which indirectly affects the people who really you want to empathize with. When you are not being part of empathy, uh, the output which you have to show might not possibly work.
So what I'm hearing you say is that if people aren't empathizing with you, it's hard for you to empathize with others. It's going to make it harder for you to empathize with others.
Yes, if people are not empathizing with me, it is hard to reflect back to the people whom I really want to empathize with.
So if people aren't empathizing with you, for example, the faculty or the administration, it's going to be hard for you to empathize with the students. And so you're needing empathy to give empathy.
Yes. And I just wanted to create empathy. Now, in what ways? I'm just figuring out the ways which it would help me to create an empathy atmosphere inside being. I do run a non-profit organization. Through that, I just wanted to create an empathetic atmosphere to my ecosystem.
So you have a nonprofit, and you would like to create a sort of an empathic atmosphere within the nonprofit and the ecosystem. So that's your intention.
Yes. So it will help you to understand people. When people are empathizing with each other, they will be able to understand clearly. They will be able to understand.
Yeah, when there's empathy, people have deeper understanding. They'll be able to clearly understand each other or more clearly.
Yes. Time's up.
Is that it? Was that the time or is there more?
Yes.
Okay.
I think my time is up.
Okay, well then, this was a sample, sort of a fishbowl. So I thought we would do now is go into circles so everyone has more of a chance of breakout rooms. Lou, are you good with doing a breakout circle? And Celine and Bill, are you still here, Bill? So,
Yes, I am.
so we're
fine.
going to go into a circle for about, was it 51 for about 45 minutes. So you'll be in a circle with one of these people leading us. And so you get a little bit of practice yourself. And then we'll come back for a full group debrief. So here we go. And actually a couple people are kind of dropping out. If you're not going to stay for the circle, you're welcome to drop out now so that I'm going to move people around here. I see a couple of people dropping out. And 1 second. So room 4. Okay, so just Larry, sorry, just need to create these rooms. Things have changed around a little bit. So it'll be Bill, Lou, Celine, and myself facilitating a circle. So, and here we go. And remember, our topic is just about, you have 4-minute turns and the facilitator will be the first listener. Oh. Three. One second. Okay, so oh, what? Oh, sorry, 1 minute. Okay, great. So here we are. So so I was the listener in the last circle. So I'll speak to Kendra if that's okay. So yeah, I'm really glad to see everyone here. The vision I'm hearing, like, oh, we need more empathy in the schools. We need empathy, in the families. I'm just hearing that from a lot of people. So I really appreciate that, that there's so many people here interested in that. So if you want to reflect that back.
Yes, so I really appreciate that too. It lets me know that
if you just want to reflect back what you heard me say. So first you're just listening to what I'm saying and then reflecting.
So what I'm
well, actually, let's switch around. Sorry, if you can speak to me since and then I'll reflect back to you. And so, yeah, go ahead. So go ahead and speak and you have, can someone keep time? Does anyone have a clock handy for 4 minutes? Rich, are you? Oh, yeah. I see Kara. Okay, Kara just raised her hand. So, okay, go ahead, Kendra. If you.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you said. So yeah, it seems like that empathy is really needed. People were really, really wanting empathy for education and going into the schools. I heard a lot of healthcare as well, which with everything going on in our world right now, healthcare is a great place to have empathy right now. And honestly, going into the schools and working with students and getting them started early, as well as teachers dealing with parents and parents dealing with teachers and having empathy for each other, I think is really, really important. So I'm loving hearing the ways that they're going to use empathy. Would you reflect that back?
Yes. So what I'm hearing is that you're hearing people talk about empathy in the schools and healthcare and all these different situations, and that you're really appreciating that, and that you really appreciate all the different ways that people want to apply empathy.
Absolutely. So as a speaker, do you ask me if I feel understood?
No, you just keep sharing. Did I understand? Did
Okay.
I understand what you were saying? And then you have 4 minutes to keep talking.
Okay. So yeah, so absolutely. And I think that's really critically important, because we're going to see the negative impacts of where we are right now hitting our workforces and hitting our college campuses very, very soon. And right now, again, with the world that we're living in a pandemic, our workforce is going to be impacted 2 or 3 years down the line without the loss of learning. And we're going to have to really, really show empathy for the students that are coming out of our high schools and going into college, and really understanding the loss of learning that has occurred, and how do we empathize with that? How do we empathize with the professors and all of the supporting staff that will have to support some of these students, as well as first generation college students, as well as the college students that are coming out into the workforce and not getting everything that they probably should have gotten in the last 24 months. So empathy is going to be important on all levels of on all levels of education, all levels in the workforce.
Okay, if you want to pause, let me reflect back.
Yes.
So you're just seeing that because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of impacts on it, and there needs to be a real understanding and empathy for students coming back into the schools, for colleges and people and students leaving college. So there's a real need for empathy for all these different communities and people.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that's really great about sharing empathy and having empathy is that empathic listening or active listening, because we've gone back into our homes and into our cultures and to our neighborhoods and into the things that are of comfort to us. And so now we're going to have to go back into a world where we have to, we have to be understanding and show empathy as it relates to our values and the experience that other people have had. And it could be something as simple as, are you vaccinated? Am I vaccinated? What's your thoughts on that? And being empathetic to why people feel the way that they feel. Empathy is going to be so critically important.
Okay, so that was the time, but so what I'm hearing is that there's a real need for empathy for people to understand each other just on all these different topics, and you're just really reiterating the importance of empathy between all people and that understanding and care between all people. Was that the yes?
Absolutely.
Did you feel heard? Okay.
Yeah, I feel completely understood. I'm satisfied with feeling completely understood.
Okay, I'm hearing some real satisfaction. Okay, great. I'll speak to Kara again.
I'm listening, although somebody else should keep track of the time.
Oh, yeah. So
I'll get it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah,
right, I'm listening.
I'm really appreciating it. Like Kendra was saying, it's just that people see that they're, at least in this community, it's a self-selecting community, if people just see the importance of empathy in all these different situations. And I sort of wish the whole culture would sort of see the importance of this, and that we'd have, like 500,000 people wanting to, take part in the training or what have you.
So I heard that while you love the self-guided community that is created, you would like us to expand and touch everyone, because everyone needs this.
Yeah, I'd like the culture to, even though, Obama talked about empathy, Biden has talked about the importance of empathy. I would like to have seen the politicians have empathy circles with each other. So, you know, Trump and Biden, instead of having a debate, wouldn't it have been great if they had done an empathy circle where they maybe a 2 or 3 hour circle, they listen to each other, you know, and then reflect back each other. I mean, that would have been changed the whole world, really, to have those powerful people, you know, have an empathy circle would have just spread the message. You're muted.
What I heard is while we have gotten leaders to at least give us some lip service on the empathy and the soft skills, it would be really nice if we saw some practical use of skills in that arena.
Yep, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
That means it's my turn to look to somebody, yes? I'm going to go to Raul. Raul, I'm going to talk to you, okay? So I guess I'm just going to piggyback off of what we've been doing. One of the things that I get to experience as a leadership coach is I get to talk to all these CEOs and executives who love the concept of empathy and trust. And they understand the soft skill has tangible rewards, but they don't have the skills to implement the skills.
Being a leadership coach, you have an opportunity to talk with CEOs and all those top shots of an organization. And they really, you know, you train these people about the skills, but really they doesn't have that, they doesn't have the skills to implement those skills. I've got right?
Yes, exactly. So these kind of events, I guess that's why I'm here, is these events teach the hard metrics for soft skills. Those are some fancy leadership coaching terms for you. But essentially what it is that we know what is right, but doing what is right is hard because common sense isn't always common practice. But empathy is pretty common sense. And I would like to have more skills to help people practice that.
So, you know, delivering skills is not that much easy as being, we speak like soft skills. You know, you really want to deliver an empathy skill. I lost you somewhere. I lost you.
No, that's good. So while we deliver these skills, what is the better way to share? So I think that common sense is not common practice. We all know the right thing, doesn't mean we can do the right thing. But things like this teach us how to do that and give us the chance to practice that common sense.
We know what has to be done, but most of the time we were not allowed, or we might not use what has to be done on our common sense worked out. But you know, sometimes you have to practice certain things, which definitely makes sense for us being what has to be done.
Yeah, and to what I've heard earlier, in our world, we're so busy telling each other information, we're not necessarily listening, and that active listening skill is pivotal in a conversation.
So we share a lot of informations, we tell a lot of informations, but we don't have time for active listening. We don't really listen to people. That was.
I feel fully heard.
Right. Have I got you right?
You did. I feel fully heard. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, connecting that always.
Who are you speaking to? Who are you speaking to?
I'm Rich, maybe. Rich.
Sure. Okay. Let me start the 4 minutes. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Most of the time, when we really wanted to be empathetic with people really don't understand what's being a purpose of being empathetic. They immediately, they have their own meanings for empathy. We really want to empathize with people, but they don't understand.
So you have an intention of being empathetic with someone, and they don't seem to be receptive to your efforts.
Yes, and most of the time, when we are empathizing with people, it is like hitting us back. It is like it is like a boomerang. It is not a boomerang. You really want to empathize with people, but in turn, people won't empathize with you. But instead, they think in other sense, the negative sense. So making people really understand the very purpose of empathy is being difficult. We need to figure out the ways how to teach people empathy.
So you have a certain sense of empathy and its benefits to society, to individuals and society, and yet there's a misunderstanding on the part of the other person to know the impact and the import of empathy.
So that's adding up. We need to figure out ways how to take this empathy to people's. Empathy is a very basic criterion that should be followed right from schools. Once the schools started teaching empathy to these kids will be empathetic. In turn, when they go to college, at least if empathy has not been taught there, students will start questioning why this institution is not teaching me empathy. At least this kid will be empathetic to his fellow ecosystem, which means gradually the process may tune up.
Okay, so the importance of empathy should be started at the very beginning of a child's development, so that they will be better ingrained to use the skills in their older life, even if they're not taught the skills in older life.
Yes, and colleges, at least this higher education institutions, should have a co-curricular syllabus or a kind of syllabus that should be framed to teach students empathy. Empathy in learning is been missing these days, and we need to teach faculties and students the importance of empathy.
So you're thinking that empathy is such a cornerstone of education and a good society that it should be infused in students, faculty, and administration as a cornerstone of the methodology.
Yes, and empathy games are related with empathy, or when these college days, we have a lot of celebrations in colleges and schools. There should be a separate day to celebrate empathy. We have all those national days. There should be a separate day to celebrate empathy, which means people really and deeply understand what empathy really means.
So an entire day should be set aside for the celebration of empathy, to bring it to a collective consciousness of celebration of that concept, like we do Earth Day and many other days that we have.
Yes, sir. And do I have time or I have to shift?
We have 7 seconds, so I would say that's pretty much it. Thank you. There we go. Okay, let me shut this off. Oh, cancel. Dismiss. Technology, I'm telling you, it's something. Okay. So I speak to
perhaps Kendra. She has
Kendra.
Yes.
Kendra, yes, thank you. Hi, thank you, Kendra. The talk about empathy is very exciting, and it's very fulfilling. And yet there is a part of me that is the realist that says this is spitting into the wind. As much as we talk about it, the power structure, the collective consciousness, the evolution of our brains are not ready to be able to handle the power of empathy, and we're stuck in the greed and power mode.
So what I'm understanding is that you're really, really excited that everyone is talking about empathy, and we're even at some levels are doing some things with empathy. But when it comes to a collective impact, that we're not going to really be able to do what the whole purpose of empathy is meaning, and what it's meant, and what it means to you, and what your hope is for empathy, because we're still people, and we're just not collectively going to be able to get there. You're a little hesitant about that.
I'm very hesitant about the success of the government, the structure, including education, to be at a place where somebody, we say, you know, this is really important stuff, and we have to set aside our innate need to be in power and greed and all of that. I don't think me personally, I don't think we're evolutionarily evolved enough yet to do that. And I hope that we can survive until we get to that point. But again, I'm skeptical. I could almost say that I could almost say that I'm cynical.
So I hear that you have, it does sound a little cynical, and also just a huge concern that we're just not really going to make it a priority. That like that talk is cheap. We're going to talk about it, but when it comes down to it, it's not that big of a priority where we're going to put the resources behind it to truly, truly make it happen. And that's the only way we can truly make an impact if we're more thoughtful and intentional. Sounds like you feel like we're just not going to be really intentional about this simply because we have an innate feeling to feel more, to have egos and be in power. And while we're in power, using those egos and empathy is going to go out the window because it's a very natural thing that goes out the window.
Yes, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I guess I'm in the old curmudgeon, you know, that doesn't see a lot of hope out there, and yet we shall see. But I'm not even guardedly optimistic. I'm sort of humorously looking at the demise of the civilization, and we will go on in a different sort of a form.
What I'm hearing is, I'm going to go back to your first statement that it sounds like you're very excited that we're creating these soldiers, these empathetic soldiers that are going to know and create, help create this empathetic culture. But we may possibly not win the war because we're up against so many other people who aren't on this team. And we're not going to survive the way we need to because we're not going to have enough people that are empathy soldiers to handle what we're going to be up against.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I will tell you that I'm fully heard, and this is the first time I've spoken it with that degree of for lack of a better term, vehemence, and have been heard from a place of, yeah, let's go get him, to you don't know what you're talking about. So it was very neutral on your part and very accurate.
Good. that was a little difficult because I felt that.
Uh-huh.
I definitely felt that from you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you choose who you want to speak to, Kendra.
Okay. I'm going to go back to Kara. So Kara, you are a leadership coach. I am as well. I work with a lot of different companies, schools and nonprofits on just working, which is why you can kind of hear the whole nonprofit in schools and college and things like that. I want to talk about some of the clients that bring me in to talk about empathy before they start those diversity and equity crucial conversations. And even when I come in to talk about empathy, I'm simply coming in talking about empathy as a whole, not to deep dive into culture or subcultures. But I kind of like Rich said earlier, I feel like they want you to come in, they want you to talk about being empathetic so you can actually learn to listen. So when you start having those crucial conversations about diversity and inclusion and equity, they're more palatable. But I really don't know if people truly want equity. They may want to see diversity and inclusion, but the equity part is the action part to me. And I really have a strong feeling that people just want to check a box.
So what I hear is that you have, can you hear me? What I hear is you have some practical experience working with some folks who love to give lip service to the right things, but have a harder time implementing. And there is concern that while we may talk about and say the right things, doing, you're just not sure that that's happening.
No, I really think that they talk, they want to bring people in and they want to kind of showboat and show that, hey, look at us, this is what we're doing. But behind closed doors, it's kind of like, okay, did we do that? Are they satisfied? Do they look satisfied? Okay, well, let's move on to the next thing and check this box. That's honestly how I feel.
So I hear that it is less a movement so much as this is a trigger word that we're using, D&I. It's part of what is going on in the world. So people say, yeah, I'm on board with that. Of course I am. Are we done with it? Can we move on to the next thing? Is that what I'm hearing?
I couldn't have put that better. Someone actually said, and she's a DA in one of the counties here in Dallas Fort Worth, and she goes, well, I read if you don't have empathy by the time you're age 4, you're just not going to get it. And I said, I completely disagree. And you are the DA or an assistant DA. And so I think that empathy is so important. And I hope that we can get more people involved to really understand the listening part, and to create an empathic capacity, right? At least get people on different levels. So that is my hope, that we can eventually do that.
So what I heard is you had some pretty frightening experiences that caused you to question where people are and where they really are going, but that you hope that with some of these more solid skills that we can change those minds and influence those hearts and bring it back to the focus in an actual way.
Absolutely. One person, 4 people, 1 circle at a time. And I completely feel understood, Kara. I completely feel heard.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to talk to Edwin.
Listening.
Hi, Edwin. So I have run into this. Is it because it is still considered a soft skill, empathy, trust. But the further that we go into it, these soft skills are becoming easier to track as we have access to the Internet of Things and each other in a way that we never had before. Those who are of like minds, those who do want empathy, are finding each other. And those who don't, we're finding them too. And we see you.
So you're seeing that it sounds like maybe empathy is seen as a soft skill, maybe dismissed as a soft skill, and the people who value empathy are starting to find each other. And you're sort of joking that, we see you if you're not empathic too, or maybe some seriousness about that too.
I would say more, I say it with a smile because people listen when you smile at them. But the truth is I'm very, very serious. Like, this is a thing that is happening, and either you're on board or you're not, because this is the way forward. And it is going to be hard because for a few thousand years, we've decided that survival of the fittest had to do with being strong and authoritative, which never was. It never was. That's not what the science says. That's not how it works. Can you collaborate? Can you survive within your community? Can you bring other people with you? That's survival of the fittest. Are we going to survive?
Yeah, survival of the fittest is really about working together with each other, collaborating with each other. And you feel, you have a real firmness and assertiveness in that belief and the importance of that.
Yes, I would
and you
like
put a
to
smile over it too. But there, underneath is a real, assertiveness about it.
I would like to see empathy and trust to be the mycelium network of humanity, our Internet of Things that connects us, because I think that is the only way we can work together and survive, because the planet's going to survive without us. I would like to be here though. I would like my kid to be here. I would like my kid's kid to be here. So can we work together to make, that's what I would like to see. That's what I'm.
Yeah, so you'd like to see that people work together because our survival depends on it, and you're wanting your kids and grandkids to be able to survive. And you see empathy as that network, the cilium that connects everyone underneath the surface.
Yes, I feel fully heard.
Okay. I'll speak to Raul then.
Yeah.
I like that assertiveness of Kara's. It's like, I think I have that same assertiveness. Damn it, we need empathy. It's like, it's not like, oh, please, can we have some empathy? You know, can I have another bowl of empathy, please? It's like, we need this. We need to be assertive with it. And I really appreciate that assertiveness.
You really love how Kara was being assertive, and you too was very assertive. You love to be with people, and you always love to be with the real people. So being assertive is one good quality of being an empathetic.
Well, it's being assertive for empathic connection. It's like not being enabling. If you're familiar with the word enable, it's like, oh, let people just do whatever they want. It's like, no, we need Trump and Biden to be in an empathy circle. We're going to camp out in front of the White House or whatever until they do it, you know. Or we want the Republicans and Democrats in the United States to dialogue with each other. We're going to go set up our empathy tents in front of the in front of the Congress and demand that they have empathy circles with each other. And we're not going anywhere until they do.
So very next empathy circle is going to happen before White House, where we are going to have this empathy tents there, and we are going to make Joe Biden and Trump sitting in an empathy circle. Yeah, I will invite Narendra Modi too. We'll sit, all three sit together and go for this empathy circle. So until they do empathy, we are not going to stop this.
Exactly. We're not telling them what they can say. We're not telling them, what they have to do, besides that they have to talk to each other and be willing to dialogue. And even you look at the disaster in Afghanistan, it's an empathy deficit. It's the sides not listening to each other. And every war is an empathy deficit, Syria, you name it. They're all deficits of people not listening to each other. So we need that assertiveness to sort of insist that, people start learning and supporting empathy.
The bigger picture of lacking empathy is just been very evident through the story of Afghanistan. So, it's basically a problem of not being empathetic. You don't listen to each other. Countries. The worst happening between India, Pakistan, India, China. All this because of the lack of empathy approach. It's when you listen to each other, these problems can be solved.
Yeah, and there needs to be that assertiveness that we can't be just like wimpy, like, oh, please empathize. And if you don't, I'll just go crawl into my corner. It's like, I'm going to stand out here and demand, protest or, occupy or nonviolent direct action, insisting that people, that the powers that be sit and talk to each other.
The next time, what I'm going to do is what you say. I'm going to take for a protest. Be empathetic. You need to be empathetic. Unless and until you're not being empathetic, I'm not going to leave this place.
Exactly. Yes, I feel very heard. Thank you, Raul. So now you select your listener.
Lot of effort, which I'm coming to Kara.
I'm listening.
So you got people all the time across you, but you wanted to be really empathetic with people, but how really find, are they really listening to you? People are not listening to you. They wanted to hear only what they want to hear, not everything. Only the time when the perception changes, when they wanted to listen to everything, only then the empathy will be developed.
So I hear that while you love empathy and you think that is the way, it's hard to know if somebody's actually listening to hear you or just listening to say something.
people always listen to only what they wanted, what they, what they're really expecting from you. Expectations is one big crime, I believe, that, hurting empathy. You always cannot expect something from someone. If you want, if you're going to really be empathetic, you should have no expectations. And if you have some expectations, then empathy won't work out.
I like that. So I heard that the only expectation in empathy is to be empathetic, because any other expectations leads you away from empathy.
Yes. When you're trying to, you need to find the people who you want really be empathetic. You go to stages, you talk more about empathy. People will give a damn, down and hands down to you. People, they really doesn't want to listen to you. How to inspire them to think of empathy, that is what the one condition we need to figure out. How to inspire people to be empathetic. Do we need to have no global stages? Perhaps I should say this empathy circle facilitation is the only one kind of the world which teaches a kind of empathy. We all know the process. I'm a design thinking facilitator. Design thinking, empathy is the very first thing. It starts with empathy, but really people doesn't know how to be empathy, how to do that empathy. You sit in a you sit in a three-layered flat and you talk about the people who are on roads. You definitely cannot do that. People really don't understand what empathy really means.
So I hear that that you are not clear that other people understand what empathy entails, and you would really like to see better clarification around what to anticipate in there. Am I allowed to ask questions when I'm listening? No. Okay. So skip all that. And then I heard that that in every aspect of your life, you're finding miscommunications because people are coming at empathy from different places.
And not only that, you have no system to teach people empathy. You talk a lot about empathy, but people really don't understand what really empathy is. It's not been in syllabus. When you go to a kid and when I say empathy, this is empathy, that is empathy. Students used to say, in my book, it is not there. No syllabus, no book is teaching you empathy. So how to figure out some ways where you can really inspire people to be empathetic?
So I heard that there's no textbook on empathy, but gosh, wouldn't that be nice? And how can we make that happen?
How might we make people inspire?
Did you feel heard?
Sorry, no.
No, did you feel heard?
No. Sorry, I was.
Did you feel heard?
No.
You got to say what you did. Did you?
Are you fully heard? Are you fully heard, Raul?
Yeah, I've done.
Okay,
I think he thinks you said hurt.
Hurt, H-U-R-T, hurt, H-E-A-R-D.
H-E-R-D, yeah.
I
You're
thought
up, Kara. We have
H-U-R-T,
one.
hurt.
Yeah.
So it's my turn again.
Yeah,
okay,
your turn again.
Let's talk to Rich. I haven't talked to you. Hi, Rich. And I would love to talk to you specifically because empathetically, I get it. That the deep-seated frustration that people are not, that they say, yeah, but then they don't do it, or that they're not even interested in broaching the conversation in a real kind of way, because we have for so many generations moved away from empathy. I feel that in a deep, deep way.
You're muted.
Thank you. So we've been talking a lot about empathy, and through the conversation, it became clear to you that, yeah, this is really striking a chord with you, in that there is, well, it's striking a chord with you. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, and while I feel deeply that there is just this hesitant to the movement. I also feel the other side. I feel the power and the drive of the people who say we're not going to give up and this is the way of the future. And while I don't know if our brains are necessarily I do think our brains are designed for this. I think we just atrophied that part of our brain, and it's going to take a little bit of waking up.
Right. So getting to where we want to be in empathy, there might not be, it might not be as dismal as it was portrayed in the past, and yet there might be some spark of hope out there if we keep drilling away at it.
And I do think it's going to be hard. This is the work of humanity, is learning to listen to each other, hear each other, and how to actively listen just to hear, not to respond, which is hard for me. I want to come up with another question. And as a coach, it's my job. So learning to be empathetic and create that space with zero expectations, I think is pivotal.
So one of the stalwarts of this work is to be in a place where it's non-judgmental and you are completely in a listening mode for the reason so that the other person can get fully expressed and feel safe. And that's, I interjected that. So
no, that is it. And I think that is hard work. I think none of this is going to be easy, but it's still worth it.
Right. Well, right. And it is hard work and it is frustrating. And yeah, there's a big smile at the end.
I feel fully heard.
Thank you. I editorialized a little bit, and boy, that's difficult to stay out of it, when you've got a vested interest in the outcome. So I apologize.
Well,
Karen.
I don't think we have time for another round. We're going to be closing the room, so maybe just a short debrief. I do hear you noticed that you were editorializing a little bit, and there's a drive for doing. There tends to be a drive for doing that.
Right.
So a quick 30-second check-in. We're going to go into the full room in about a little bit less than 3 minutes. So just want a quick check-in. How was the experience, Kara, for you?
I really enjoyed it. It forces me to step out of my natural active listening, which is leading me to the next question to keep you talking, and simply just say, this is what I heard. And I really enjoyed that. I think that as a practice that more humanity could benefit from.
Thank you. Kendra, how was it for you?
I feel like I learned a lot. I picked up on some things from everyone. And so I agree with Kara. I'm really understanding and learning to listen to several different people. You learn so much. So I definitely learned some things. Thank you.
Thanks. Rich, how was it for you?
Well, once again, enlightening. I've been doing the work for a while, and yet every time I come to a training or a conversation or something like this, it's like, oh yeah, there are nuances in this work that for me, have to be renewed every now and then. And I'm glad I found the group, by the way.
Great. Yeah, welcome. Raul, how was it for you?
Imagine that I'm blasting some color bombs out here. Wow, it's so amazing. It was so amazing. You got to nerves out. I teach people empathy. This is the very first time what I'm really being empathetic. I'm in that position. It's great to have you. Thanks, Edwin, for this.
Yeah, so glad you're here. Yeah, as a designer, I think you'll appreciate empathy, because if you're using the human-centered design, the design model starts with empathy. That any problem, you need to empathize with the participants in it. And then you move into defining a problem, sort of creative solutions, generation, honing in, creating some prototypes and testing your prototype. So it all starts with empathy in the design world. And I'm going to close. I got to close the room, so everyone's going to come back. So you'll have about 30 seconds in the full room to do a short deep, share that. Oh, where did we just? Where's it? Oh, we're leaving. Yeah, we'll leave the room. Breakout room. Okay, people are popping back in. It'll take a second until everyone is back. We have about 30 seconds before everyone comes back. Okay, Celine, you were going to do this part. I think about 15 seconds before everyone comes back. I can, as soon as everyone's back, I'll post the question in the. And 1 second. Not everybody should, there we go. Everyone should be back. So we're going to be doing a little debrief, about 30 seconds to share. And I just posted I just posted the question in the chat. Share any learnings, insights from the Empathy Circle, or what did you like about the Empathy Circle? So Celine, you were going to call on people.
Okay, so very briefly, would you please share with us just what Edwin said, any insights, or what did you like about the Empathy Circle you just experienced? And I'm going to start with Rahul. Would you please unmute and tell us briefly an insight? Thank you.
I mean, the insight about the program.
Or your experience just now.
I just completed my experience, and it was like, blasting some color bombs out there. It is very amazing. Now, this is the very first time I'm in an empathy circle training. Though I teach people about empathy, my teaching people, the only meaning, for people like me when we teach empathy is put your leg in other shoes. That's the only thing which he used to say. But this is something very amazing. Great to be part of it. I just missed out why I haven't been part of this. I'm very happy to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Rahul. And Kara, would you please give us 30 seconds of you?
For me, I had a wonderful time at learning to listen without even feeling the need to ask another question, to simply just listen, witness, and then shut up again. I think that is a fantastic skill, and I look forward to practicing more.
Thank you very much. Kendria, would you please share with us?
Yes, absolutely. I think for me, it was a great experience, and I didn't have time to listen with my filters, like my judgments and my experiences. It was literally focusing on the listening piece. So I didn't go out of myself and say, how would I have done that? Or how would I have said that? So it really made me consciously lose my personal judgments and filters. So it was a great experience. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kendria. Vesna, would you please give us 30 seconds about your experience?
It was wonderful. I enjoyed, hearing everyone else's reasons for participating in this training. And, I'm going to piggyback to the last speaker that, just being quiet, listen, and you don't feel that you need to respond. It's rather nice.
Great. Thank you, Vesna. Greg, would you give us your half minutes of your experience?
I thought it was really good, and I've done the training before, but this has been a very good experience because in the past I've been kind of I've felt like I'm not a good listener, and I feel like in the time since my last training I've been learning how to listen better. So this was very kind of heartwarming to know that I'm not stuck in one mode.
Thank you, Greg. Barbara, would you please share with us?
Yeah, I really found this to be a wonderful experience as well. And I kind of wholeheartedly agree with Kendria and Kara, and just, it's I don't know, it's a great experience to have to leave your baggage at the door and just be present with someone and listen to them and shut up. I think it's just a great skill to have.
Thank you, Barbara. Dominica, would you please share with us?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. This was my second one because I went last Friday to the first one and I enjoyed it so much. I got right on it and signed up for the next one. And so, yeah, it was just great to connect with more people interested in this work and see the big group and work everyone's doing.
Great, thank you. Heather, would you please share with us 30 seconds of your experience?
I was mentioning in our group that I just felt a lot of synchronicity with what everybody was saying. I just felt a shared experience about like every comment that was made. And then on top of that, not only did it help me like quiet the filters and the biases, but just that inner judgmental, anxious person that's, in my head a lot. It really helps quiet that, and I can just, really sink in and listen. So I just love this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Nadia, would you share with us too, please?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I thought it was really lovely. It was simpler than I thought it would be. And it's nice to slow down, to not feel I have to fix, but to just listen and reflect. It's calming. It's calming, and to be listened to is really lovely as well.
Thank you, Nadia. Sarah, would you share with us, please?
Sure. Echoing what Nadia said, I know some of us are in different professional jobs where we might be the listener often, but it was really wonderful to be in a community where you're also being listened to. And I really appreciated that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Gail, would you please share?
Yes, I'm going into a profession where empathy is very important. And I was practicing listening, even though I wasn't the active listener, to be able to reflect back in my own head what others were saying. So it was really good training. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Nestle Han, would you please share with us a little bit about your experience? So I'm not hearing anything. I'm going to keep going, and please raise your hand if you come back and want to share with us. And I'm going to go to Nola. Are you there and available to tell us about your experience?
Yes, I'm here. It was a wonderful experience. Just like someone said, I can't remember, Sarah, like we are in a profession where we always kind of try to listen to people, but it feels really great to be listened to. So I really enjoyed the experience.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And Ose, would you please tell us about your experience? Again, I'm not hearing anything from you, but if you want to speak later, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Next is Maggie. Would you share with us?
Yes, I will. Thank you. I found it really refreshing, actually, because I just managed well. I was listening on my way home from work, so kept cutting in and out on my way. But I found it really helpful because my day is spent listening to people. 7 hours of it is spent listening, 1 hour sessions. So I'm listening to people, and during that time, actually trying to work things out and put things in place. So it was nice to be able to come here, just actually be the person I've got people listening to me. And I didn't, at the end of the day, when I was listening to somebody, didn't need to have, well, you need to do this or I'll do that for you. It was a case of being able to listen and walk away. So I sort of found it really refreshing. Hope we can do more of that. So yeah, it's really good.
Well, thank you so much, Maggie. And Marta, are you there and able to speak to us? And if not, I'm going to move to Katrina. And Marta, if you come back and raise your hand, I'll call on you. Katrina?
Sure.
Hi, this is Katrina. I thought that the course was refreshing, the breakout group. It taught me how to listen to myself if I'm speaking effectively and if I am also what I'm receiving, if I receive that correctly or not. Not only that, but also being intentional about empathy, and just learning from others. And that also brought in the fact of transparency, because we were being very transparent in regards to our hobbies, our creativity and the like, and just our thought, mainstream thought. So it was great for me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Katrina. And Melissa.
Hi, yes, so it was an amazing experience because as Katrina also said, you know, it's important that we feel and we realize that the person we are communicating with has understood what we're trying to say. So it also gives us a chance to be able to express ourselves better so that we are able to communicate with others better, and also to know that you are heard.
Yes, great. Thank you very much, Melissa. Rich, would you please share with us?
Sure. What I noticed was the atmosphere of safety as we moved through the conversation, and I noticed that there were very few masks of composure that people wore. They're authentic. Those conversations are authentic and without pretense, and that's what I noticed from this session.
Thank you so much, Rich. Larry, would you share with us about your experience?
I love these empathy circles, and it's just what the world needs and what each one of us needs to be able to be, you know, fully feeling compassionate, empathic human beings, the way we're designed to live. You know, it's been thousands of years too long. Let's get with the plan. Thank you. Love it.
Thank you, Larry. And Bill, would you please share with us?
Sure. I'm really appreciative of the people that are interested in this and who are coming to check us out, and you know, just feeling really good, because when I look at the television or whatever, I hear, you know, I'm being told a different version of that. The joke that I make as far as the efficacy is, you didn't know me 2.5 hours ago or 2 hours ago, but now you'd let me house sit for you. And that's sort of the way it is. We really can trust each other much more than we need to distrust each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Lou, would you please share?
Yeah, I'm just grateful for meeting all of you in the big circle and meeting and getting to know even more of the people that I was in my breakout room with. Just feeling grateful for the participation and grateful for the opportunity to witness people listening to each other. Like, it's so sweet to watch people listen to each other and understand each other. It fills me with a lot of hope.
Thank you, Lou. So then I'm going to go and let Edwin, you be last and finish. Okay. So for me, I had a wonderful circle, and no surprise, everybody caught on quickly and shared, and it became richer and deeper with every moment that we were in circle together. So I love it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks. All right, thanks, Celine. So when you first do the empathy circle the first time, I feel a bit anxious, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and that anxiety after a few turns and doing it a few times, you know, that will pass. And again, I want to reiterate that empathy is like a muscle. and it takes practice. You know, Greg is mentioning, oh, I haven't done empathy circles for a while. You know, you're mentioning that, but it takes ongoing practice to keep practicing. It's like, just like with exercise, I've got my weights back here. I can lift my weights. And if I stop, you know, the muscles atrophied too. So it's the doing, that an ongoing doing of the practice that is important, as well as I'd say from my experience, this is the best foundational first step gateway practice for empathy practice. You know, there's a lot of other things you can do, but they all sort of are based on this foundational, you know, slowing down, listening to someone. And from this basic practice, you'll get a lot of initial benefits, you know, just learning to listen more better, kind of build your own empathic resilience, gives you the foundational tool for, you know, mutual support. Some people were talking about that they listen all day, probably as a counselor. This is sort of mutual, you know, it's like you're kind of listening to others, but it's really about a mutual listening. So we're charging each other's empathy battery and fostering our mutual resilience. So I hope you'll join us again in the training. Let me put the link in there. So next week we have the well, the first link there is to the training course. If you check out that link, you know, just really review the full website, and you can sort of get a sense of all that we're doing, and the times and schedules. And then the second link there is the next cohort that's coming up, that you can actually go sign up for it, fill out the application. And then otherwise, we'll be here again next Monday for another intro cafe, so you can, you know, take part there. And Bill, do you want to say anything else about your school cafe?
Yeah, I just put it in again on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm trying to adapt the empathy circle for schools. Obviously, in schools, you don't have 2 hours. So I have some foundational support from the institutions, such as the California Department of Education. And then I have strategies in order to teach it to kids using the constraints of school, and also would apply to businesses as well. So thank you.
Okay, Lou, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just grateful that everyone's here. Please come back, keep coming back.
That's the word, keep coming back, keep empathizing, keep exercising those muscles. So we'll do a jazz hands, a goodbye jazz hands. I always like to end with that for a group portrait, and see you hopefully next week. And bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
And if the
Thanks.
facilitators can stay back.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank
week.
you.
See you next time. Thanks, Kara. It's nice to see you in the group.
Thank you.
And this is Heather. I just want
Hi,
to ask.
Heather. Sure.
I just want to ask a quick question. Bill, do you have like something I can send to like a school that my daughter goes to, like, you know, to see if they might be interested in, like, teachers or something might be interested in being a part of your
yes.
circles?
Yeah, I think I don't have. Let's see what is. Let me put that in again. I should have. Oh, I didn't put my here. Sorry about this. I don't need to take up too much time. Bill. Okay. And okay, so I put in the empathy in schools. You can go there. And then I also have my email. So I do have some documents I can send you. If you just want to contact me by email, I can send you some of those documents. And then if you have any questions, let me know.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much.
Sure.
Bye.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye.
Okay. So just, I don't know who that was. So just going to check in. How was it? Lou, do you want to?
Yeah, I had one person that just wanted to observe in my circle. So that was fine. I let her do that. Several people in my circle had their cameras off most of the time. That was okay. I gave them a choice about that. But other than that, I thought it went well. I probably would have, I continued with 4-minute turns, and I probably, on reflection, I probably would have shortened the turns so that more people got speaking turns, although most of the time people did not take their full 4 minutes. So maybe that wouldn't have made a difference. But yeah, that's something that I need to remain conscious of is when we actually, and maybe Edwin, this is a note, that when we actually go into circles kind of, and I think you did say this, how much time we had. But I need to track that, like remember that number so that I can decide, make a quick decision about what length of speaking turn, I'm going to use.
You
And
didn't want to facilitate. I just wonder what that was. It was. You didn't want to do the fishbowl. I was just wondering what the reason was for that.
Because I did it last time and I wanted to give someone else an opportunity to do it. I didn't know that you would wind up doing it because I'm sure you didn't want to carry both of those things. But I just thought someone else would want to, and so that's why I did that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I had cut out just at that moment. My son had called, and so I had to just, and I'll call him back later. But so that's why I wasn't there right then. Sorry.
And the thing that I was saying about the time, picking the time, something also I want to keep in mind is the idea of adjusting the time. So it's also true I could start with a certain time and then switch to shorter times if I think, there's not much time left and I want to make sure people get a chance to talk. I could switch to shorter times. That's something I wasn't thinking about.
I did have bigger groups because what's been happening is when we do the transition, it's like, half the people fall out and Bill is like there by himself, with one other person. So I kind of made it 6, people or so. I think it might have been one group that was a little bit bigger just for that reason, because of the dropout. But it sounds like people stayed in your group.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anything else, or was that it?
I did actually, I have some feedback for Larry, if you're open to feedback, Larry.
This sounds critical. I think you're going to tell me not to put so many hearts in the room. Don't be so loving. Is that what it is?
No, well, actually, so that is one I wasn't thinking of, which is, and we had a discussion about this in the Friday Facilitators support group about whether people using reactions is making a comment on the people who are sharing. And I actually think, so in the main room, in the beginning or the end, when I don't have an objection to it, but when the empathy circle is going on, in the empathy circle practice, people should not be using them, I think, because it is actually making a comment on what someone is saying. But the other pieces of feedback I wanted to give you were that when in the check-in, you spent a lot of time talking. We're trying to do short check-ins so that everyone has a chance. And so being conscious about the amount of time that you're taking. And the other piece of feedback I wanted to give you is that a lot of time when people are asked to share what their experience was, you actually don't talk about your experience. You talk about kind of philosophical things about the world and about history and about and why you think empathy is important. And I just wanted to point that out because I really think sharing your experience is what we're looking for in those times.
Thank you for that feedback, Lou. I feel fully spoken to.
You want to go, Larry?
Thanks for being open to hearing it.
You're welcome, Lou. I love the empathy circles. It is what the world needs. It's what we all need. It's been thousands of years of domination culture. And I'm so grateful to have found this group and how simple this is. So I loved our breakout room. I thought Bill did an awesome job remaining calm and supporting the space with, quite a wide variety of experience and empathy. And also people who are, psychologists who are recognizing the need for this in the world. So I'm going to continue telling the truth about it. whether people like it or not. I'm going to keep saying the truth.
Okay, anything else? Is that?
I am thrilled to have found the empathy circles.
Okay, great.
I
Thanks,
love it.
Larry.
Absolutely love it. There's been so much of, the famous biblical quote from Jesus saying, the speck in your brother's eye is nothing but the log in your own. That's projection. And that's the way the world has been running. People, an eye for an eye makes the whole world go blind. And that's real. Nothing has changed. It's been that way all this time. And empathy doesn't go to war. Empathy is what this world needs now, is love, sweet love. The Beatles said it, all you need is love. And I love that beautiful Charlie Chaplin quote when he says, you need brutal power only when you want to do something harmful. Otherwise, love is enough to get everything done.
Okay, thanks, Larry, and glad you're here as well. So Celine, you want to check in?
I thought our empathy circle went really well. People were engaged. There were 2 XR people. And so I led with that, and they opened up. And so, yeah, it went very smoothly. I was very happy with it. I ended with 5 minutes to share within the circle, and that worked really well. And listening to you, Larry, I'm imagining giving empathy to Alexander the Great, or Genghis Khan, or Cleopatra, and how would that have changed things? Maybe I could play with it. I'm complete.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, I had a good time. Sorry for got 2 calls in the middle of that, and I had to kind of field them. Yeah, I felt pretty good. I was getting more comfortable in doing that intro section, and yeah, I was glad that it could work out. Yeah, there are a couple of things like NOLA entered. I don't know, did you put there, but that was fine. So I had to integrate her, and that was just another learning experience, but it worked out very well. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. There was somebody was letting people in. So was there somebody here letting people in during, because they ended up going into the wait. I went into a room, somehow I got it, and I couldn't figure out how we all get back into the wait room. And then a couple of people were let in during the process. I didn't recognize them, so I couldn't move them anywhere. So they were just sitting in the wait room in sort of limbo. I didn't know what the heck was going on, but they came late. So I don't know, was anybody here letting people in? Or
I was. I
oh,
thought.
yeah. No, once the circles start, only I should do the letting in part, because yeah, it's too hard to integrate them once the circle starts. So just as a heads up. So
thanks for letting us know that.
Thank you. No problem. What else? So I'm just, any feedback on the overall framework, the structure? This time I tried using a fishbowl to begin with, then going into the rooms. I don't know if that, I think that kind of just helps people kind of ease into it as a transition. We just did a few, a round or so. I think that does help. I think maybe it keeps more people engaged, because it's usually in this transition that we, I put like 6 people in the room like one time, and then it was like a bunch of them leave, and there's only you're a facilitator and 1 person. So more people seem to stick with it in the transition. So I don't know if that was an effect, but so any thoughts about that? The overall flow, Larry?
I totally agree with the fishbowl thing. This is the first time I've seen that used. And I think it did give that initial introduction to people so that they could kind of calm down about what is this empathy circle thing. And then when you say something like, I'm going to do a fishbowl thing, it's like, what is that going to be, a fishbowl thing? But when you see what's happening, that you're just giving an example of what's to follow, I think people feel more comfortable in staying. And I'm glad we had this great turnout. I've been inviting a lot of people on LinkedIn and Facebook, and really thrilled to see this turnout and that it can be handled empathically.
Yeah, it's a way to handle it. I'm kind of it depends on how many, if we didn't have enough facilitators, I would have just stayed in the fishbowl. You know, if it would have been just 3 of us, I would have stayed in the fishbowl. But since there seemed to be enough for, you know, these breakout rooms, and I'm going for larger sizes, you know, 6 to 7 or even 8 because of the transition. But the people, I thought people might drop out. So it did seem to work. I'm just hearing that kind of
It
worked,
really
Bill.
great. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, sure. No, I agree. It did work. And I think you're right. And probably less people dropped out once they understood what they were getting into. The only thing is, I think that you'll have to kind of manage if you're going to do a fishbowl and then have larger groups, then that means more time in the breakout room. So you kind of have to keep an eye on that overview. So if we did a long fishbowl and then we had like, I don't know, 8 people in the room, not everybody might not get a chance to speak. So that's just sort of, but yeah, I think it's good innovation.
So I have some ideas about that.
Yeah.
So I agree with everything that's been said. And I think that there is the problem that the fishbowl helps people understand what they're getting into, but it also takes time away from people participating in the practice. So one way to reduce the time is to keep introductions shorter. You know, that's the area where I think you could get back some more time, is by making sure the introductions are short. And Celine, you did a good job of reminding people periodically that you know, a 30-second intro, but maybe even something shorter. Maybe, you know, 1 word for how you're feeling and 1 sentence about why you're here, or something like that, so that it's more like 10 seconds or 15 seconds. The other thing I would say is that another thing that popped up was listening to the conversation is the idea of doing the fishbowl and then saying, so how many people would like to like do this process? And so the people that raise their hands, that number of people you can put into breakouts, but there might also be people that just want to stay in the main room and continue watching the fishbowl. And so that if you have a large group, that may keep people that don't want to participate and they wind up disappearing. And if you have a small number of facilitators, you could still have some number of circles and still continue the fishbowl in the main room.
It becomes a little bit of a challenge in terms of then you're kind of going through hunting, pecking people to put into the rooms, which is a little bit of a challenge. Because as it was, I created the rooms, put one of you ECF in each room, and I just went down the list, you know, 8 people. And so it's like pretty fast. And so those are just some of the logistics. Yeah.
I mean, you could ask people to raise their hands. Who would like to participate, and that would bring them all to the top.
Right.
So that might make it easy. Well, I don't know, in the breakout room interface, do people have their hands up? Do they show up differently? So it doesn't help with that part. I understand. So I guess the only other thing would be to hand off the breakout making to another person so that someone can concentrate on that. Or the other thing to do would be, well, I can't think of any other way to do it that would simplify it.
Okay, Celine, you had something?
No, I think that's an interesting idea that Lou had. And I also think we had enough folks. It's not like we need to get more. And I see this process as a gathering of many and then culling those. But we have like Dominica, it's the 2nd time now. It's likely she's going to sign up. So
she did sign up, I think. Yeah, she's in the training.
Yeah.
So here, I'm sorry, were you done, Celine?
Yeah.
So here's another idea. You could, when the fishbowl demo is concluded, you could say, okay, so now what we want is to give people a chance to experience the process. if you would like to do that, participate in the process, modify your name and put something by your name. If you would like to go into a circle but just be an observer, put an O by your name. And then then you'd have like an O's and P's. And then you could distribute people into circles with O's and P's. That might be a way to do it.
That's interesting. Yeah, then it's easy because with the ECF, it's so easy. You just go through ECF, you just put them in. But if there's something after their name, that would really simplify it. Yeah.
So observers and participants. Yeah.
It might take a little time for them to get. You have to kind of explain how to do it. They might not know how, so a little bit of time there. But yeah, that seems sort of manageable. So next week, who wants to do the different roles? Bill's been sort of practicing the overview of the training. I do think we need to sort of maybe create a Google, or a doc with what's to cover in each point. So something that we can hand off so other people can easily, it is in the script, but maybe make it more accessible so others can present too. And then there's also who's going to do the fishbowl. Bill already had the how-to, had the training part, and Celine had already agreed to do the post part. So that's why I thought you might want to do it really well, Lou. So I just wanted maybe who's going to be here next week and what role do you want, I guess.
I plan to be here next week, and I'm fine with wherever you plug me in.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And it depends what next Monday looks like or feels like.
So if we do the same again.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do the fishbowl.
Okay, great. Yeah, that'd be great. And then we'll kind of refine. What I'm meaning is with the overview of the training is to have something like, the heading, and then what to more or less say, something that we can print out on 8.5 by 11. So you'll have it handy, you can print it out and have it handy. So then, Celine or Larry or Lou, that you can, we'll start getting things set up so we can kind of shift the roles a bit. So, okay. Well, great. What do we have? 40 at the high point? I thought I saw 40 people. So that was really encouraging. So we're not doing it this Friday. Somewhere I had posted Friday, so I might just be here just to, be here. I don't think anybody will come, or just a few people will come, so I can pretty much handle that. But we're just on Monday. Next Monday is the next one. So just
okay.
That's where, yeah, Larry.
I just want to say that a lot of my friends on LinkedIn are in some way related to the ocean, scuba diving, and ecology. So and I've been inviting thousands of them, so I don't know how many of them show up, but if they did, I wanted to mention something about, coral reefs and scuba diving, so they would know this is where I'm inviting them to. And empathy really is what's needed to care for life on this planet. I sincerely feel that and believe that and try to live that.
Anyone can create a cafe series. So if you have a lot of friends in any area, be it, Celine's doing that with doing a Spanish, NBC Spanish series. You could create a series maybe every second week, and it's for scuba divers, empathy and the environment or something like that, and host that, and we can support you in setting that up too. So just say that that's an option, just like Bill is doing his own series on empathy in schools, that anyone can sort of create their own series for that specific so that specific demographic may be interested in something very specific to the oceans.
Thank you, Edwin. I think that XR is probably the organization, maybe Greenpeace as well, that are doing the things that are near and dear to my heart, that are, to support life on the planet. I really think we're facing a crisis, And our politicians are just not listening. And like that old saying, it's hard to tell a man in a Cadillac he's doing everything wrong.
I've got to go.
Okay,
I'll
yeah, we'll
guys.
see you then.
Okay.
So, okay,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
So thanks.
I have a question,
Yeah,
Edwin, but we
go
do
ahead.
have Saturday, is that correct?
We have our training on Saturday. Yeah, we're in what,
Mhm.
session 4 or something?
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah,
for
4.
Saturday. So we're, yeah, definitely show up then. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, everyone.
Okay, thanks,
See you.
everybody.
Thanks.
And I have done scuba diving in several places. I know what you're talking about. Sometime we'll talk.
Yeah. Me too, by the way.
Me
Thank you.
too. A Great Barrier Reef scuba
Hey.
dive, not just snorkeling. So yeah. And
Bye.
Bali. Yeah.
Jacques Cousteau. Woohoo.
Here
See
we
y'all.
go.